Welcome back to Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast. My name is Reika, and I hope you are doing well as you're listening to this podcast. If you are a new listener to this podcast, I want to say welcome. I'm so happy and excited that you have chosen to tune in today. And if you are a returning listener, I want to say thank you so much for coming back. It means a lot to me that every single one of you choose to press play and listen to this podcast. So if you're new, Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast was started about 2 years ago because I wanted to interview full-time yoga teachers from across the world who's been teaching full-time for a long time so I can learn from them, so I can see how they have made this teaching career into a sustainable career. And I also interviewed part-time teachers as well as full-time teachers. I also interviewed teachers who used to be full-time but now they have a different career path. So I'm just curious in everyone's journey. And what's so fascinating is that everybody has such a unique journey and unique way to make their job, a full-time yoga teaching job, into a sustainable career path. And that's kind of what I'm interested in. I'm interested in their income streams and what kind of teaching job do they do? Do they lead retreats? Do they have workshops? Do they teach teacher trainings? As well as what inspires them to keep going, and also the challenges they have overcome to be where they're at in their career right now. So I hope you enjoy listening to all the amazing conversations I get to have with yoga teachers from across the world. I do have a couple of announcements before I get started. First announcement is about my upcoming Nicaragua yoga retreat. I am so excited that I am going back to Nicaragua again this year. I led an ethical yoga retreat last year, and I am leading a very similar retreat again this year. It is located in Aposentillo, which is northern western coast of Nicaragua. It is a hidden gem. This retreat center is located on the point. So you have ocean, beautiful beach on both sides of the point. And it almost feels like a private beach because it's not a big city. It's not a well-traveled area. So when you walk around the beach in the morning or for the sunset, you feel like you're on a private beach. It's so beautiful. The sunsets and the view of the ocean from the retreat center will take your breath away. There's a massage, there's a pool, you get 3 meals a day. Some of the activities we'll do together is going to Temescal, which is a traditional sweat lodge ceremony, as well as we'll have a sea turtle release, an art workshop taught by local women in the community, as well as volunteering at after-school program where children are learning how to speak English. So all of these activities are included in the retreat, as well as, of course, 2 yoga classes a day, once in the morning and 1 more gentle classes in the evening, and daily philosophy discussions. If you know me well, you know that I love yoga philosophy and I love facilitating a discussion around yoga philosophy. I think it's such a helpful philosophy for us to learn, and it has really helped me navigate challenging times in my life. And I really want to make yoga philosophy very accessible to everyone who is interested in learning. So you'll also have plenty of free time to enjoy the beautiful beaches and the pool. I had such a great time hosting this retreat last year, and I cannot wait to host another group this year. We have a triple room option, which is going to be a room with 3 beds. It's not bunk beds, everybody have 1 bed each. And there's also a room with 2 beds, so you can share that with your buddy, friends, partner. And there's another option where you have a private room. All the room has its own private bathroom. All the room has AC. The retreat center has amazing Wi-Fi. So if you have any questions about this retreat, please message me and let me know. Right now, I have a deal going on where if you sign up with a friend, you will get $200 off. So don't miss your chance to sign up for this retreat. It is from July 25th until August 1st of this year. I'll put all the link to the retreat information on the show notes, so it'll be easy, 1 click away to check out more information about this retreat. Another announcement I have is about upcoming workshop. I run a mentorship program for yoga teachers, And every month we have a special topic workshop where I invite expert guest teachers in their topic to come teach a 2-hour workshop. And for March, I have Casey coming on to teach a workshop on Intro to Meditation, a Buddhist perspective. Casey was on this podcast in the past. If you remember Casey, he was a meditation teacher that I interviewed. And that interview was one of my favorite conversations that I had. And I think it was such a different and unique conversation because he's not a yoga teacher. He's a meditation teacher with years and years of experience teaching meditation as well as meditating himself. And he has lived in ashrams where he were a student of amazing Buddhist and meditation teachers. So I am so excited for him to come on and teach a workshop on Intro to Meditation. So he's going to draw from Buddhist framework. The workshop will focus on what meditation is designed to cultivate, how to give simple and effective guidance to your students if you want to teach meditation, and how to understand inner mechanics of attention, distraction, and awareness. So instructions can feel grounded rather than scripted when you want to teach meditation. Everybody who joined the workshop will learn how to frame meditation for students, support common challenges, and connect practice to real outcomes like steadiness, insight, and compassion. And this workshop is going to briefly compare the Buddhist Eightfold Path and the yogic 8 limbs to help all of us see where the traditions overlap and how each one of these frameworks can inform the way that we guide our students. So this workshop is going to be in person here in Long Beach, California. I will also be live streaming on Zoom, so you can join via Zoom if you don't live in this area. And it's also going to be recorded, so if you want to watch the recording later, you can watch the recording later. The workshop is donation-based, $20 minimum, so you can put in your own amount that you wish. And the workshop is happening on March 15th, which is Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. So I will put the link to sign up for this workshop on the show notes. So go ahead and click that link to learn more about this workshop. Okay, that's done with my announcements. I do want to say that this weekend, well, when this episode is released, it has already passed, but the weekend before this episode is being released, my dear teacher, Annie Carpenter, is coming to LA. She lives in Oakland, California. So she's coming to LA to teach a training Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Center for Yoga in LA. And I am just so excited to be back with her. And this time I will be assisting her in this workshop. And I'm also always very excited to see the community, all the yoga teachers, yoga students, and the Smart Flow community that come together whenever Annie comes into town. So that's where my mind is at as I'm recording this intro today. I'm just very, very excited to be back with my teacher and learning from her. And I learned so much from assisting her, so I am excited to be assisting this time around. Okay, let's get started on today's podcast episode. Today I got to interview Elizabeth, and I have known Elizabeth for quite some time. We're both yoga teachers based in Long Beach, so we know each other. We work at the same studios, but somehow I have never thought to ask her to come on the podcast until now. And I am so glad that I asked her to come on to this podcast because she has such an amazing story to share. She is not only a yoga teacher, but she's a business owner and doula and childbirth educator. And she really followed her passion and created a career that is very unique to her passion and niche that she offered to this Long Beach community. And I can't wait to share this conversation with you. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation I had with Elizabeth, and I will speak to you on the other side. Welcome, Elizabeth, to Full-Time Yoga Teacher Podcast. I'm so excited to have this chat with you. I feel like I've known you for as long as I worked at Raw Yoga Long Beach, but I don't think we ever had like in-depth sit-down conversation together about yoga and your journey, your career path. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited that we get to have this like in-depth, like a quality chat together today. So thank you for
Neat.
being here. Please
Thank you.
let the listeners know where are you logging in from today? Where are you joining this conversation from? As well as where are you originally from?
Yeah. Okay. So I am here in Long Beach as well. It has been really fun and I'm really excited to be here. So thank you again for having us because I feel like we've known each other for quite some time, but I'm excited to kind of lay it out and get into this and just really honored to
Mm-hmm.
be here. So I am local. I've been in Long Beach for well over a decade at this point, and I am
Mm-hmm.
actually I bounced around California for a while, but I'm originally from the East Coast. So like New York, New Jersey,
Okay.
tri state area. I grew up there, but I've been out of there. I left when I was 17 and never really go back and visit family and friends all the time, but snow is not for me, and they are currently under many, many feet, and it's a very good reminder of why I chose the West Coast.
Yeah. Well, we're happy you're in Long Beach.
Me too.
Can you tell me, like, when did you start to get interested in not only yoga, I guess yoga too, but when did you start to realize I want to become a yoga teacher?
I don't know if I could pinpoint one versus the other, so let's start, I
Mhm.
guess, at the beginning. So I was a competitive swimmer. I swam very competitively on a national level back when I was like high school age. And I was introduced to yoga as a cross training, right, stretching
Mm.
method. Just fell in love with yoga, right? Like I was
Mhm.
swimming 4 hours a day and like yoga was my favorite part of my day to get out of the pool and do the dry land stretch, and
Mhm.
I started doing more and more and more and more and more yoga. And the idea of working for myself or being on my own or running my own business was kind of always there. I had always like dabbled
Mm.
here or there, but I think the pieces, as I moved through my early 20s were coming together. I had really dove into yoga during college age, and then yeah, it wasn't until 2014 that I officially became a yoga teacher. But so the idea,
Mhm.
like, it was just always there. It was kind of like I always wanted to work for myself. Um, I had like started doing yoga when I was like 15, 16. I was really young.
Mhm.
Like, and then by the time I started teaching, like I had already been practicing for almost a decade. It was my happy place, my mat.
Mhm.
And I was happy to like
And
turn that around and teach it and
yeah.
share it out.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I did not know you were a competitive swimmer. That's really cool. A lot of yoga teachers, as you probably know, come from a dance background, maybe gymnastic background. And then I feel like they're like a less than half, I would say. They're smaller, but they are this population that comes from more like sports and athletic background as
Yeah.
well. And I definitely come from more the sports background. And because of that, I always kind of like felt really my range of motion in my body wasn't like a huge range of motion compared to many yoga teachers who came from dance background. So is that
Totally.
something you also found, or did you do
Yeah.
you have a
I
pretty
mean, I remember,
mobile
like, the first
body?
time I came into dancer and, like, was actually
Yeah.
able to, like, hold it and be in that position, and I felt like that was, like, "Okay, like, I have arrived as a yogi because, like, I can open my body in this way." I
Mhm.
think, like, as a swimmer and spending all that time in the pool, like, I was very used to fluid movement, right?
Mhm.
And I hear this a lot, like, right, lots of people who are, like, runners, right, feel like there's,
Mhm.
like, that flow of yoga that when they're practicing is a similar
Mhm.
movement. And so I love the breath work, like, coming again, like, out of the pool, like, there's actually quite a lot of breath work in swimming, which sounds so silly, but
Yeah.
you have to be
Yeah.
very intentional with when you are breathing in and when you are breathing out. And so that parallels a lot
Yeah.
in yoga, right? Like, you
That's
can't breathe
so
all the time when
true.
you're in the pool.
Yeah. Oh my god, I never made that connection before, but yeah, you must be, like, already a natural at a lot of pranayama because
Yeah, so
you're
right,
already, like,
so
conscious.
it was it took for me, like, as a teenager, it took kind of like what I did in the pool
Mhm.
and really made it feel like something I could do on dry land, right? Like, I was very
Mhm.
intentional in the timing of my breath work. So, like, that side of developing my pranayama and my asanas, like, they were just always
Mhm.
hand in hand because of that. And so it
Mm.
just it felt very organic for me. And
Uh-huh.
I ended up having a shoulder injury, which is kind of like why that swimming trajectory ended for me.
Uh-huh.
And but yoga, right? Like I could adapt my yoga practice much easier. And so that stayed
Uh-huh.
constant for me. And I love
Uh-huh.
that. Yeah.
I love that. And I also want to
Yeah.
put a pin on when you said that you always knew you wanted to be a business owner, that you wanted to work for yourself. So I really want to come back to that later
Sure.
because that's something I really want to touch on. But going back
I
to your
mean, yeah,
journey,
okay, good.
yeah,
Best.
of becoming a like teacher,
Mhm.
did you take your 200-hour teacher training knowing that like I'm going to become a teacher, or some people take and they're not sure. So was that like you knew you were going to teach right after
Yeah.
or soon after?
Um, y yes and no. So I lived in Bali for a while. I'm trying to put when I was like 19. I think I was
What?
19. I was a
I
baby.
didn't know this about you. You lived in Bali when you were
And so I did a
19.
Yeah, I was 19. I turned 20 while
What?
I was there. Yeah, it was my 20th birthday. So, I did a lot of yoga. I was studying art.
Uh-huh.
I was an art major in college, so, like, it was a very natural, like, study abroad opportunity that I had to do art, and I did a ton of
Wow.
yoga.
Where in
Yoga
Bali
obviously
was it?
has I was in Ubud.
Wow, that's where you did study abroad? That sounds like such a dream. I had no idea. And this is during
It was
your
a dream.
time in college.
This is during my time in college, so I took a break from, like,
Okay.
university and, like, did a study abroad,
Mhm.
so I was there for about 9 months.
Amazing.
And then did some other traveling and stuff in Southeast Asia,
Yeah.
but during that time, like, I had opportunity to take a lot of yoga. So I did
Uh-huh.
I mean, not I guess it would probably have been equivalent to a 200-hour teacher training during 6 months while I was there. It wasn't quite packaged exactly as that, but
Uh-huh.
it's my first real yoga training
Uh-huh.
where it was sat and, like, it really broke down. Looking back at it now, like, I really was like, "Oh, this is a 200-hour training," but it wasn't packaged as such, and that wasn't
Uh,
taken thinking I was gonna become a teacher or anything else. I was there, I was doing lots and lots of yoga, and I really loved
uh-huh.
the fundamentals and the breakdowns that I was getting from doing this
Uh-huh.
sort of it was like an every Sunday evening thing. So
Oh.
that kind of, like, took yoga from being this thing that I was doing that was, like, outside the pool, helping me continue exercising, right? Especially with the shoulder injury, and, like, really, like, took it to the next level as far as,
Uh-huh.
like, this is more of a way of life, this is more of, like, really part of who I am and my identity.
Uh-huh.
But that was, right, like, still years before I did my 200-hour training, and then when I did my
Mhm.
200-hour training, it was the same year I became a mom, actually.
Okay.
So,
Uh-huh.
my yoga practice just continued, right? I practice pretty much daily,
Uh-huh.
and when I became a mom, there's a huge identity shift that goes and happens.
Uh-huh.
I was very unprepared. I mean, I knew I was pregnant, I knew I was gonna become a mom, but it was just a very, very hard experience,
Uh-huh.
and my baby was born in February, and I was just, like, going through all the changes that come with being a new mom, but really
Uh-huh.
struggling with it, and my very sweet partner was like, "You were struggling with your body, you were struggling with your identity, your
Uh-huh.
mat has always been your happy place, let's enroll you, like, you've always talked about doing a proper 200 class, like, let's enroll you."
Mm.
And so I
Mm.
did that 6 months postpartum. I took my 200-hour teacher training,
Wow.
and at that point, I like I again, like, that idea of being a business owner, I was already going through so many other identity shifts. Um,
Mhm.
so I'm trying to think of the timeline specifically. Yes, I had already
Mhm.
quit sort of my corporate America job, and at
Mhm.
that point, yes, I kinda knew I was going in to do this as a business. I knew that I was gonna wanna teach.
Mm.
I didn't know where that was going to lead. I could not have
Mhm.
told you that 10 years later, right, plus I would end up where I am now, but that
Yeah.
was sort of it's all tied in to becoming a mom for me. So that
Okay.
200-hour training, it really got me back into my body. It really allowed me to heal from some of my first birth, like my first birth experience. It
Mhm.
helped me integrate, right, so many layers of who I
Mhm.
was. So coming out of that 200-hour training, I immediately started teaching because
What where
it was a space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing that you did 200 hours, 6 months postpartum, and your partner really like encouraging you to go do it.
It was
And then you said
hard.
you yeah, I bet. How were you able to do it? What kind
I
of
mean, it was
format was
really
it? Was
hard.
it like a
We
weekend,
did
weekdays?
we did the weekend
Uh,
I did the weekend intensive, so we would meet Friday nights for, like, religion study, essentially, right?
mhm, mhm.
Discussions, and then all day
Uh-huh.
Saturday, all day Sunday. So, A, it was
Yeah.
really hard because I had to be away from my baby,
Mhm.
but B, it was like I was a pumping mom, like, I was a breastfeeding mom, so, like, I was, like,
Yeah.
in the back of the classroom, like, during lecture time, like, having to pump. I was going to the, changing rooms at the studio I was doing my training at and pumping.
Mhm.
So, there was definitely a layer to that, but it was such an integration space for me
Mm,
to
mhm.
be able to kind of put together who I had been and who I was becoming in that training.
Mm. And were they
I
supportive
think
of you, like, pumping and being a parent, new
yeah,
parent?
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. It really was. And I mean, I think so many people, when you talk to yoga teachers about like their 200-hour trainings or subsequent trainings, right? Like they become such family, right? It's such a
Mhm.
bonding experience. So it was really lovely because also for me at that stage, I was here, right? Like I had recently moved to kind of Southern California. We had just come into the Long Beach area, and so like it was like a family, but it wasn't just a family of like new moms like right, like there was somebody
Mhm.
actually pregnant in my 200-hour
Mm.
training, so that was sweet to
Mhm.
have. But you get
Mhm.
people from every stage of life, and so it
Yeah.
really felt like it was actually a gift to me and my baby because
Mhm.
we got a bonus granddad out of it, and we got some, like,
Mhm.
aunties out of it, and
Mhm.
it was a beautiful, very special, very sacred space.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I came
I'm
right out of that teaching.
that's I wanna get to there, and then before that, I wanna ask, like, what was your corporate job that you said you had before, but you have quit before you gave birth?
Yeah, so I quit postpartum.
Postpartum,
I
okay.
Yeah, yep, I went back and I did a couple of weeks, and I was just like, "No."
Mhm.
Um I was working as a marketing and events coordinator. So I had like all of the
Okay.
LA and all of the Orange County region, which is kind of how
Mhm.
Long Beach happened because it's in the center
Mhm.
of all of LA and all of OC.
Mhm.
So I was able to like commute to the different offices and things in the region. And so I was helping do marketing and events for a company.
After finishing your teacher training, you knew you wanted to start teaching. So how was that like? Like you're a new mom, just got your 200-hour teacher training. It's like I'm ready to teach. Like how were you able to find a job? Were you able to fill up your schedule right away? Yeah, just kind of share that part of
Yeah,
you as a new teacher.
it was slow and it was steady. I
Mhm.
think, like, all new teachers, like, you kinda take any job that you land. So for me, right, like, the stage of life I was in I mean, I'm not like, this is a long time ago, this was 2014. I finished, so, like, started teaching, I guess, like, 2015. I
Mhm.
landed a job pretty quickly, actually. I guess, like, that was pretty right off the bat at a studio that's no longer that's out there that was in Santa Ana.
Mhm.
I think it was, like, somebody out of the yoga teacher training, right? Like, she had gotten a job
Mhm.
there, so she was like, "Oh, yeah, we're looking for other teachers." It was, like, a studio that had just
Mhm.
been opening. So I interviewed,
Mhm.
and I was a sub to start, right? Like so many teachers
Yeah.
start. We started subbing, and so
Mhm.
I covered my other friend's class a couple of times, and then I got a class of my own, and
Mhm.
that felt really great, that space. Wow, I haven't thought about that studio for a moment. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
And then, honestly, I really quickly started teaching yoga in the park for moms. So, I
Okay.
really kind of honestly started with, like, a baby and me yoga, and right, we were my kid was probably rounding, like, right, 15 months that summer. The weather was good. It's Southern California. We're hanging out at parks anyway, and so it was like, "Hey, can we do 10 minutes of yoga? Can we practice getting through a sun salutation? Can we" right? Like, "Oh, we need to do a little bit of core because 'cause we're all postpartum." Like, let's do 10 minutes and throw it down on the basketball court. And so, like, yoga really just kind of integrated into this, like, mommy group park hang situation that I was in.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, And that's where I would say a lot of my confidence and, like, ultimately, like, where we're going in the conversation and where the business came from that. Like,
Mhm.
it was a very organic
Mm.
process,
Mhm.
of hanging out at the park with my kid, doing 10 or 15-minute mini micro yoga classes to a couple of moms at a
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
But on the really professional side of things, I started as a sub at this one studio, got a class on my own eventually, and then from there I started at another yoga studio, and then that was wonderful because I got like a Sunday morning slot. I felt like I won the lottery because I got back-to-back classes on a Sunday morning, which was such a dream for me because my partner works a traditional 9 to 5 job Monday through Friday, so we didn't have to worry about childcare and things like that. And so it
Can
was
I
great, and then that grew. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask you, like, how did you figure out the childcare and teaching as a new teacher? Like, when you have to like sub, you may
It
not have a permanent class, or you don't know when you might have to like go teach. Like, do you find a babysitter who can come in for an hour or two, or did you only take certain classes that was in the time frame that you had a childcare already? Like, how did you
Yep.
do all that?
That second
Mm-hmm.
option. So, like, I didn't make myself available if I didn't have my partners. Part of it, like, part of that, like, giant
Mm-hmm.
identity shift, shifting careers was I wasn't comfortable leaving my child in daycare or,
Mm-hmm.
not with like, I mean, obviously, a nanny or a babysitter becomes very quickly not a stranger, but
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of anxiety around
Mm-hmm.
leaving my baby outside of our parental unit, and so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if it baby wasn't with mama or papa, baby was with mama or papa, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if my partner couldn't watch him, then
Mm.
it wasn't a class I would say I could sub.
So you kinda would
So
sub during, like, weeknights or weekends would be,
and
like,
right,
the
like,
time.
that's the
Mhm.
majority, right? Like, yoga classes
Mhm.
really are weekends,
Mhm.
right? Or early
Mhm.
mornings. So, like, I don't feel like it impacted, like, right? Like, that's where yoga teaching was so great, right? I ended up getting
Mhm.
a Tuesday class evening, like, right? Like, I just built I mean, honestly, I've been saying this a lot this year. I built an entire business that was nights and weekends.
Mhm.
And, this is obviously jumping a lot, but, like, now in 2025, 2026, it doesn't work for my family, right? My family's grown, we're at a very different stage,
Yeah.
like, I have school-age children, like, I
Yeah.
am now like a soccer mom and a swim mom, and I need to
Uh-huh.
be taking the kids to, like, evenings and
Mhm.
weekends, right? Like, it's their
Yeah.
time to be together, and so it's
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I spent the last decade building a business that was nights and weekends, and now I
Yeah.
need to build a new business that is daytime
Daytime.
hours." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is
Oh, that's
that
so
is a current struggle.
fascinating.
I'm like, we'll get there,
Yeah.
but,
We'll
like,
get
that is a
there.
current business struggle. Yeah. So I really did.
Yeah.
I built it nights and weekends. But
Mhm.
that's like
Mhm.
right, like everybody else is working 9 to 5 and they wanna go to yoga
Mhm.
class at 5:30. So it was
It's true.
great. Like, I, as a parent, I gotta play with my baby all day and throw him at partner or throw him at papa and go
Mhm.
teach a class. And, like, it was a break
Yeah.
for me. I moved my body, I filled my bucket, and so it did really help me balance those younger years in that sense of, like, having a partner who is willing to jump in right off
Mhm.
their workday immediately into parent mode, and I was also lucky
Mhm.
at just the networking. Like, I did get into 2 studios relatively certainly within the
Mhm.
first 6 months of training or
Mhm.
graduating from that training,
Yeah.
and they really became anchors to my early career.
And I know you said you started teaching park yoga, baby and mama park yoga. And did it kind of start with the people you knew and word spread? And did you end up pursuing like prenatal, postnatal teacher training, yoga
Exactly.
teacher training to like do more continuing education? So I know you kind of
Exactly.
established your niche in that world of postnatal in the yoga world. So kind of like share us that transition or how that worked into, like, really
Yeah.
focusing on that.
So, right, I was teaching a variety of vinyasa at the 2 studios that I got into. I had my regular classes, I was subbing classes, but again, like, right, like, I was already living that mom life, that park life, and
Mhm.
so it became a thing that was, like, just an add-on that we, like, squeezed in into a, like, we are intentionally meeting for yoga. You can bring your babies, you can bring your families, And that probably took some time to, like, make that
Mhm.
transition. This was 2018, it was a long time ago. Maybe no, I didn't jump from 20. No, I'm like 20, well, 2014, 26, maybe 2016, I'm not positive in there.
Mhm.
But it would just be a thing that, like, I would just share with a bunch of, like, the mom friends, and Instagram was such a different world 10 years ago, but I would, like, make a little
Yeah.
post and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna be at this park at this time, bring your families, let's do some yoga," and I was always surprised. Most of it was, like, 90% of it was, like, word of mouth, right? Like, I had
Uh-huh.
really great mom friends at that point who would, like, bring their sister, bring their mom, and so, it grew, but I was always amazed when, somebody would be like, "Yeah," like, and I'm like, "Who are you? Like, who do you know? Who brought you?" And they're like, "Oh, I saw you on
Yeah.
Instagram." And I was like,
Oh, I love that.
"Wow, okay." And so, like, that really allowed it to also grow
Uh-huh.
within the local community,
Mm.
and it became a regular thing, right? At this park at this time, doing my
Yeah.
thing.
Were you charging for that? Or was it donation based or was it
Donation
free? How
based.
did you do it? Donation
I
based,
did
yeah.
donation based,
Mm.
some weeks I did great and other weeks I didn't, but it was kind of an opportunity, again, like, I was showing up with my family, so it got us out
Mhm.
of the house. It got us,
Yeah.
at the park getting some sunshine, vitamin D, Mother Earthing, so
Mhm.
it was great for us as a family too.
And you kinda started to get known in the community as this, like, mama and baby yoga teacher. When did you start to
Yeah.
pursue, like, the different trainings to go deeper in that?
Yeah, so we added a baby to the family in 2016. So kind of
Mhm.
throughout all of that, we grew as a family. So we became a family of four. And it
Mhm.
was right kind of after that initial postpartum that I was like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. This is really fun. Having been pregnant a second time and have gone through prenatal yoga and taking classes, and I mean, I knew a lot intuitively. I knew some from my
Mhm.
200-hour training. I knew some from being pregnant first and second time, but I was like,
Mhm.
I need to make this official. So I did the
Mm.
was it a 95-hour training?
Mm.
95-hour,
Mhm.
the prenatal postpartum training.
Mhm.
Um, and so I officially took that, and that was like a really
Mhm.
fun special training too, because at that point I had learned it all. I mean,
Mhm.
intuitively,
Yeah.
right? Like, I had done
Yeah.
it,
Mhm.
I had taken so many years of, right, I had already taken 18 months of prenatal yoga, with
Yeah.
some amazing teachers, right? Like, I
Uh-huh.
totally took advantage of being in Southern California and would drive, deep into OC or up to LA to take, prenatal yoga when I was pregnant myself with some,
Mhm.
world-renowned yoga teachers, and that was really
Yeah.
special. But then,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think it was end of 2017, beginning of 2018, I did my official, prenatal postpartum, the RYPT
Mhm.
certification, and that's
Mhm.
where then I started adding prenatal yoga in at studios, right? Because at that point, I
Mm.
hadn't been teaching any prenatal or postpartum yoga in a studio space.
Mhm.
So then once I completed that, I started that as well.
So do you just reach out to studios and be like, "Hey, I noticed you don't offer pre and postnatal class on your schedule. Like, can I teach that?" Like, is that kind of what you did?
So when I started, I actually started with a company that's based here in LA. They're called Ma Yoga. Yoga, and so they had
Mhm.
a business model where I could be a Ma yoga teacher and I could reach out, and we weren't working per se in studios, but we were working, like, I built a relationship with a yoga, oh, sorry, excuse me, like a family store boutique. It was actually called the Family Store here in Long Beach. They're no longer here,
Mhm.
which makes me sad, but it was a
Mm.
female-owned boutique that was very female owner, entrepreneur forward, and so
Mhm.
she took a gamble on me, and she actually let me use her store space
Oh.
before she opened her store. So I would go in and
Mm.
I would, like, move all of her clothing racks and all of her tables, and I started prenatal and baby meat that way, actually. So I
Ah.
did that for several years, and then I built
Mhm.
other relationships with other stores in Long
Mhm.
Beach,
Mhm.
where I was able to, like, utilize community spaces or things like that. Studios aren't very often open to prenatal or baby and me. So I'm still on the
Really?
side, and we can definitely get into that, but I'm still on the side teaching
Yeah.
vinyasa, right? So like
Uh-huh.
and I love vinyasa, like don't get me wrong, but so I'm and I also do like like the yoga Pilates training in there, so I add that. I did the
Mhm.
yoga strength training. So
Mhm.
I started teaching, like, I was still very involved, and at this point, right, Raw Yoga had opened at LBX, so I had started there, so,
Mhm.
like, I was teaching almost all of their modalities
Mhm.
as a full-time teacher during this time, but my heart, my love was still in this prenatal postpartum world because it was my truth, it was where I was living. It
Yes.
was, who I was, and so it
Mhm.
was really a guerrilla, like,
Mhm.
experience,
Yeah.
furs and everything
Yeah.
else. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it seems like you already had like even before you started with saying like you had a desire to own your own business or and you were entrepreneurial mindset to begin with. You got your teacher training. You knew your passion was teaching in that world of pre and postnatal moms and that world. And you got after you got the certification, you started teaching at it sounds like different businesses. So when you reach out to them to say like, hey, can I use your space to teach this class? Couple questions. Are you paying rent to use it or do you have like a profit split with the location? And also, are you bringing your own students in and promotion and marketing is up to you? Or do they also bring in people because they promote it? So like, I'm just curious of that kind of business partnership that
Yeah.
you created with them.
Yeah, 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 exactly, right? So, like, right,
Mhm.
mind you, like, I it was and am still super passionate about teaching other
Mhm.
modalities of yoga,
Mhm.
and, like, my full-time teacher, as I said, like, my full-time teaching was at studios teaching, various
Mhm.
vinyasa style classes,
Mhm.
but, yes, my passion was really this idea of, like, teaching for moms by a mom.
Mhm.
So, it was a profit sharing. I was very
Mhm.
lucky enough to, like, I had some mentorship in this arena to help me get
Mhm.
started, but so, like, they didn't make money if I didn't make money,
Mhm.
and so we did a split for
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
depending those numbers changed depending on
Mhm.
where I was at,
Yeah.
but again, for me, so getting into this, like, family, like, they were a clothing boutique store that was geared for, like, babies and toddlers and infants.
Mhm.
Sorry, like 0 through 5, right? And
Mhm.
so it worked for them too, right? Like, to have me coming
Yeah.
in at doing Baby and Me because it brought
Mhm.
people into their store. Maybe they were gonna
Yeah.
see something, maybe they were this, maybe they were that. So I would come in for, like, that hour before they open, and then
Uh-huh.
somebody would always be there to make sure they opened as all my mamas were leaving. So, oh, if they just
Mhm.
wanted to happen to purchase something. So it was a very
Yeah.
reciprocal, positive
Totally. Yeah.
relationship. It was good for both of our businesses. Um,
Mhm.
ultimately, I handled everything as far as like the signups, collecting money, then paying, my share of rent to back to them.
Yeah.
Um, all of that was on me, but I was also like, I could create a flyer and that hung in a frame right by their checkout. So, like, again,
Uh-huh.
anybody who was coming in and coming out of the store knew I'd be there on Tuesday. Right? So
Yeah.
it really was a very positive reciprocal relationship.
Okay.
I mean, there were other places that I also did pop-ups or one-off, but that was a very steady part of my business that was ongoing.
Mhm.
So for anybody listening, I'd say who is
Mhm.
looking for some of those like outside the box options,
Mhm.
finding something that really, like, is a quid pro quo. We had the same
Mhm.
population that we were trying to hit, and it worked well for both of us.
Yes. It was like a mutually beneficial collaboration where you were both targeting the same group, but they weren't offering yoga, right? And then
Right.
they had a storefront with the space. So it was really, I feel like a great collaboration. And another question is
Yeah.
because you said that you were in charge of registration and
Mhm.
money and splitting the percentage with the stores and all of that. So it sounds like they probably brought a few people too because you had flyers up, but it seems like a lot of outreach and marketing was to your community, the people you knew. So that's
Mhm.
where my question was like, did you start collect email addresses when you were doing park yogas? Like, how did you grow a network of people in your target community that like you
Yeah.
can reach out and let them know about the events and different things you're offering?
Yes, email, collecting emails. So, like, right, I very old school, like clipboard, very basic sign-in sheet, technically a waiver form, right? You release me from
Mhm.
all liability on the sheet. And so I would collect that. And then Instagram was new. Like, I mean, okay, it wasn't really
Mhm.
new, but it was new for businesses to be using. As I mentioned in that as well, I was kind of blown away at people finding me there. But again, like I was living that experience. So like I go and like make a new friend, mom friend at a music class. Oh, like, hey, I do this thing, like you should come.
Mhm.
So I was very like right like deep in this world. So it did grow very, very organically. But it
Mhm.
was a lot of so yeah, collecting email addresses, like, I think that is, like, the first and foremost, most important thing so you can start building that email list, right? I didn't really
Mhm.
send out a ton of emails, but I had it and utilized it when appropriate.
Mhm.
Being able to, like, utilize, platforms. Again, I it was the age of Instagram, so
Mhm.
Instagram was, like, where I was posting, like, "Hey, I'm gonna be here at this time, at this" besides that, it was, like, maybe a handful of flyers that went
Mhm.
around to a couple of coffee shops or places I was already going,
Mhm.
and it was a lot of word of mouth, right? Like,
Mhm.
I from that corporate America job of, like, right, traditional marketing is it's who you know, and so you just start
Yeah.
talking to people and telling people about what you're
Mhm.
doing.
Yeah, I love that. And it's such a you had such a specific focus, If you can get known in that world, people start recommending you. And yeah, I think it's kind of cool to see that you knew that's where you want to put your focus on and you kind of like really
Yeah,
went straight into that.
yeah.
And I'm just curious, you said studio is actually not an easy place to teach prenatal, or is there not all studios are up for it or something? So can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's so look it, right? I get it as a studio owner, um, you are looking at the bottom numbers, and if you could teach a level 1 class that is open to everyone versus a prenatal class, like, prenatal yoga is like, I mean, even baby and me, like, it's such a small window in somebody's life.
Mhm.
First time, right? Pregnancy is roughly 9 months. First 3 months, you feel terrible and you're not getting out of the house. You're not telling people, you're not doing things about your pregnancy. You feel really great in the middle of your pregnancy. And then by the end of your pregnancy, you feel really large. You feel really heavy. You feel really uncomfortable. And so getting out and about to maybe do an exercise class is kind of hard too. Right.
Mhm.
So as a studio owner, like, they are happy to do some, like, workshops or plug us
Mm.
in really awkward time slots where maybe, like, there's no chance that they're gonna make money otherwise, but
Mhm.
why would they give up a prime time slot at their studio?
Yeah.
We're never gonna have the same numbers as, like, a vinyasa
Mhm.
class,
Yeah.
and so it's really hard, and I get it on a business side, right? Like, when it's
Mhm.
the number of students is the amount of money you make, the number of people who are pregnant, like, we've gone down such a deep rabbit hole, of how
Mhm.
many people are pregnant in the world, how many of those people are gonna practice yoga,
Mhm.
how many people
Mhm.
are local in the area, available, feeling good, right?
Yeah.
Like, prenatal yoga classes are notoriously small,
Mhm.
and
I
so
I
it's
think
hard to get a schedule.
yeah. But, like, I feel like at Raw currently, you teach and you get like, you always get good it's not a packed room, but you get a good amount of students coming in,
I
and
do.
it's not in the prime time slot, it's in the middle of the
Yes.
day, and that's probably the only time slot studios, like, willing to offer the
Yeah,
space, and I totally get it because I teach therapeutic accessible yoga class at
right.
Raw, and I think for my class I use a tiny, tiny meditation room, so then it's a little bit easier when I offer that class because that room is not being booked up all the
Utilized.
time. But even then, like, it's not a moneymaker class for the studio, and I almost feel like they're losing money by having me teach that class. But I think when studio cares to have those different classes offered on the schedule, it's nice that they, even if it's not a prime time slot, even if it's a tiny little room like a storage, I think it's nice at least to have those classes on the schedules. Yeah, I was surprised to hear that, but then it does also make sense.
Right? Like, I'm not I like and it's not to say that there aren't like, prenatal yoga teachers out there, there
Mhm.
was a very successful prenatal yoga class that I don't remember what day of the week, but it was a prime time. It was an evening, it
Mhm.
was like 5:30 or 6:30, weekday night, and that room was packed. I do have a good attendance. I mean, I've done this for a while, the word's out there. I'm
Mhm.
really lucky, like, at Raw, like, they are, I think, like, as you were saying about your therapeutic class, like, they're really supportive about building
Mhm.
a community, not
Mhm.
just making a profit. So, when they opened the Long Beach location and we were building the initial schedule, I was lucky enough that I got 2 prenatal yoga classes that were right at 12 o'clock. So, it was like lunchtime
Oh.
yoga, and then
Yeah.
my schedule was that I did that Monday and Wednesdays, and then Fridays, I did, like, just the regular level 1 lunchtime yoga, but so my mamas could come Monday, Wednesday, Friday during lunch break
Mhm.
to yoga, and it built this beautiful reputation, and, like, that was a
Yeah.
lot. That was a lot of prenatal yoga. At that point, I was like, that was what, 2018, 2019? I had
Mhm.
been doing it in the community for roughly about 5 years. I was really passionate about it. I had, like, proven myself, and so, I the numbers were there, so they kept that. Obviously,
Mhm.
the pandemic and everything shifted everything again, so I'm
Yeah.
back. I have 1 class a week, but it's a big
Mhm.
like, it's a decent class, like, that it
Yeah.
gets up to, I get 18 mamas, 12 to
That's
18 mamas, I would say,
amazing.
pretty regularly. Yeah, it's a good
That's
sized
good.
class. It's a good sized class, so we get to build community, which is a big
Mhm.
part of prenatal yoga too.
Totally.
Yeah. So,
And oh,
it's about finding
mhm.
that right studio that's gonna support the
Yeah.
community and what the community needs, and look
Yes.
beyond necessarily that bottom dollar, because while I do, like, for the average size classes, like, there are definitely classes where it is, everybody just had their babies and we're
Mhm.
waiting kind of for that next round, and so maybe I'm only having
Mhm.
4 mamas or 6 mamas.
Mhm.
Because there's
Yeah.
there's a cyclical life to prenatal
Mhm.
and baby and me.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, I'm curious about so you were teaching, you're building your reputation in that world and yoga teacher specifically for that. And I know along those time you became a doula. So like
I
I'm curious
did.
like where did that come from? Like what was the passion behind that or what made you want to become a doula and yeah, I'm curious about that doula journey.
Yeah. I mean, again, very organically, right? Becoming a mom really shifted my identity and who I was and my priorities.
Mhm.
So when I had a second baby in 2016. And in that journey, I personally hired all the help that I could. So I had a
Yeah.
doula, I had a postpartum doula, I had a lactation educator to support me through my own lactation journey. And um, so I also, like, I mean, it gets a little bit into the weeds, and I don't know how much you wanna go down, but so I was also something called a VBAC mom. My first baby was a cesarean C-section,
Mhm.
and so my second was a vaginal birth after cesarean,
Mm. Mhm.
which becomes its own topic of conversation. But
Mhm.
so the running joke is that I gave birth to our second baby, and I gave birth to this doula business that same day because I found the empowerment of having that vaginal birth, of having a really truly
Yeah.
supported birth. It
Yeah.
was a very redemptive birth. It was a very full circle moment for me. And
Mm.
so I knew that through the tools of education and empowerment and going through my own, like, really dove into prenatal yoga, really, like, dove into my body in the process, and really just embodied it, wasn't working a corporate job, wasn't, staying out until 1 or 2 a.m. planning these giant work events where I mean, of course, I was a yogi when I was pregnant with my first. I was still had a very strong yoga practice, and it sounds it's knowing what I'm about to say sounds crazy in my head, but I was so unaware of my body in some senses, right? So, like, I was so in tune of
Mhm.
who I was and my bodies and how I could get into the positions and all of the anatomy, like, I understood myself so
Mhm.
much, but, right, like, this is life, right? Where
Mhm.
the older we get, the better we understand ourselves, and so right, and 2 years is not a huge amount of, like, space, but we all know that, like, there are years that are just quantum leap years, and that's what
Mhm.
becoming a mom a second time really was. It was just this jump forward,
Mm.
and so having this second pregnancy that was really just so different and really empowering, it's a word that I feel like is a little bit washed out and overused these days, but I haven't found another
Mhm.
word to use in place of it.
Mhm.
It was just such an impactful moment to have my
Mhm.
VBAC birth that I knew I
Mhm.
wanted to immediately turn around and help others feel that good about giving birth and that good about being a
Mm.
mom because it really
Mhm.
was just such a different experience for me. And I just
Yeah.
felt so good in my body. I felt so incredibly powerful
Yeah.
in what my body did. What like I grew a
Yeah.
human and I gave
Uh-huh.
birth to this human and then I could feed this human from my body. Like it was just
Mhm.
it opened me in a whole 'nother way, and so it was
Yeah.
very, like just like yoga healed me postpartum with my first journey, giving birth the second time just opened this portal to the doula world and being able to pay that
Mm.
forward to future moms, and
Yeah.
so had my first baby and I took my yoga training and I became a yoga teacher with my second baby. I had my second baby. I took my doula training and I added
Yeah.
doula services to what was becoming my business at that time. And it was
Yeah.
just really exciting. It really, I mean, like you can even probably hear it in my voice and my hand gestures
Mhm.
here. Like it really just lights
Yeah.
me up. It really
Yeah.
does still to this day.
And it's so, it I feel like it works so well, like, you were already working with moms or moms to be, and you're already offering this likely classes or, you're already collaborating with businesses offering these classes, and, like, if I was pregnant coming to your class and it's like, "Oh, she's a doula too," like, please sign me up," like, "I want you as my doula." Like, I feel like it also feeds into the, like, I don't wanna say, like, it's a natural flow to, like, link
It's a
people from
funnel.
yoga to do
I
yeah,
mean, we can
exactly.
use that bit like, we can talk as business
Yeah,
owners here, right? I
yeah,
hope, right? Like, we're
uh-huh,
encouraging other people to become full-time
yeah,
yogis, like,
mhm,
yes, like, it's a funnel for the business, and
yeah,
honestly, like, I don't know if I would've per se felt like, I don't know if, like, if I would've gone down that road or if I it evolved very naturally. What I'm trying to say is that it
mhm,
evolved very naturally because I
mhm,
was already like before I officially did my doula training, right? Just like I was teaching prenatal and baby and me yoga before I officially did that additional
mhm,
training. I
mhm,
was having people in my classes because I wasn't official,
mhm,
right? Like I was already training or teaching prenatal and baby and me. I had pregnant moms come and be like, "Hey, would you be my doula? Like I interviewed this other
mhm,
doula, but like there's somebody like I
yeah,
don't know, and I'm seeing you on a weekly basis. Like I'm getting to know
mhm,
you, and like you
yeah,
build relationships with your students, and so it felt
mhm.
natural for like I had already
Mhm.
been asked a couple of different times by
Mm.
students if I would doula for them.
Mm.
So it was like that legwork, that building
Mhm.
block was already there. And yes, it
Yeah.
did start to build this foundation
Mhm.
for the business, right? It is a funnel
Mhm. Yeah.
and that has been beautiful.
Yes. So I want to get into that. When you
Yeah.
started actually fully became certified doula and like officially start
Yeah.
offering doula services and you're doing both teaching and doula work, are you more passionate towards one than others now, or do you have more time you spend in one of these more than others? Where does your
Yeah.
time and effort and attention go to more?
Right. So right, like quit that
Mhm.
corporate job, became a full-time yoga teacher. Probably took me 6 months to a year to like build that full-time teaching schedule.
Uh-huh.
Maintained that through this time, but then I slowly I added doulas, but, like, it's not especially as a birth doula, like, you have a couple of meetings, you added that in and then,
Mhm.
"Oh, well, I have to sub out classes because 'cause I'm out of birth." So, it was
Mhm.
something that I layered on immediately and
Mhm.
it fit well, But as
Uh-huh.
things progressed, now I would honestly say that I am like 80 plus 90%, like business owner, doula, and
Uh-huh.
very like 20% yoga teacher.
Uh-huh.
I don't teach vinyasa yoga anymore. I don't teach yoga
Uh-huh.
Pilates or strength or any
Uh-huh.
other modality. I only teach prenatal yoga and baby and me yoga because it
Uh-huh.
does that is my passion and that is what funnels
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It was the pandemic.
Uh-huh.
So it shut down all the studios.
Uh-huh.
And so I lost that source of income. And that was right, like, there was no opportunity there anymore, and so
Uh-huh.
I had
Uh-huh.
to, like lots of us, get creative,
Uh-huh.
um, and for me, I was very lucky that, like, that doula side of things that had really been maybe 20% of my business, I could start to ramp that up and grow it, and
Uh-huh.
that was a catalyst for shifting.
Uh-huh.
Not because I was still loving doing all of the yoga classes, and even in adding the doula, like, I love teaching my level 2 classes, and I loved
Uh-huh.
teaching my yoga Pilates classes, like, it was nice to wear all those different kind of yoga teacher
Uh-huh.
hats,
Uh-huh.
all my different playlists and feels and
Uh-huh.
vibes and all that goes with, being a yoga teacher of different modalities. I love that, but for me,
Uh-huh.
it was really the pandemic and the closures of studios.
Uh-huh.
It was really, really sad. 2 of the other yoga studios that I mentioned that I had been working at that point for years didn't make it through the pandemic.
Mm.
Raw obviously
Yeah.
did. We're all still there.
Mhm.
I'm very
Yeah.
lucky for that, but, that was a big catalyst for making that
Mhm.
shift and
Mhm.
allowing me the space to grow the doula side.
Mhm. Okay. So, okay, now let's kind of get into I know you are also a very amazing businesswoman. So I know that you open your own business, actually a storefront business. So I want to know, so pandemic happened, you took on more of the doula role and the teaching is
Mhm.
still there, but not as a huge part. You're kind of listening to the calling and natural flow of life was kind of taking you that direction. So how, because not every doula open a business like that. So I'm curious, how did you come up with the idea of opening your Looma Birth business and yeah, catalyst. So how did catalyst for that? How did that happen? That journey?
Yeah. So, like, when the world did start opening up again, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
I think, like, 2022 is kind of like we all kind of agree that that was, like,
Uh-huh.
getting back into things, regular schedules, less masking, all of those things. I actually started teaching more in person. I mean, I did the Zoom yoga stuff for those COVID years. I went back to the park. I
Uh-huh.
was doing park yoga again, and that, kept me afloat, kept it, bills paid and things like that. But at that point, I was a little tired of, like, moving merch around stores
Uh-huh.
and having to clean the floors so well to be able to
Yeah.
do yoga on it, and so when things were getting back into, like, regular cadence of in-person things, the studios wanted to maximize budget. I mean, and I'm making an
Uh-huh.
assumption on their part, but I was not offered back all the slots that I had previously had.
Uh,
Mm. I had also done, in addition to, like, my regular classes, workshop classes that were for, like,
uh-huh.
prenatal yoga for mama and partner,
Uh-huh.
and, comfort cares that I was like, and this was at a variety of places, right? So I lost 2 of the spaces
Yeah.
I had been doing workshops and auxiliary classes and trainings in, right? So, like, I lost
Yeah.
they were no longer places I could even come back to and be like, "Hey, can I do this workshop in 3 months?" Right? So I lost 2
Uh-huh.
of the 3 places and right, like, we were looking at and I had people who wanted to do it and wanted to do it in
Uh-huh.
person and wanted those things. And so, I was looking into other options and ultimately, like, I just took the leap of faith. We opened the studio, like, I call it Looma Birth Studio. We're
Uh-huh.
here in Long Beach. We're on Redondo
Uh-huh.
Ave, so, right, there's a little bit of background noise. I'm here in the space now. It's not really a yoga studio, like, it is just a space. My family joked that I should have called it Luma Living Room when I opened, and I kind of think they were right. We've got a
Uh-huh.
couch set up in the back, and it's a hang space, but we
Uh-huh.
got a clean floor in the middle so we can do yoga. but it gave me a space where I could then come back and I could do prenatal yoga and I could do baby and me
Mhm.
yoga and I could do some of those other workshops and, as during those 2 years in COVID and Zoom and everything, I started teaching childbirth education in addition, right? Like,
Mhm.
teaching people, empowering people, making them feel good in their
Uh-huh.
bodies, making them feel good as part of their birth prep, their parenthood
Yeah.
journey, like, that's all right? All of that, like, flowed from me very naturally. So, the other
Yeah.
layer in that journey was, yeah, I became a childbirth educator. So I started teaching childbirth classes. That definitely needed to come back in person to be able to work with
Mhm.
families. And so I took the leap of faith and I opened my own
Mhm.
space because I really couldn't find a space that was working for what I needed in the community at that point.
Mm.
And so here we are.
Wow. That's amazing that,
Hmm.
and it sounds like you were also listening to your community. Like they were wanting these classes, this workshop, this like longer series, like courses,
Yeah.
and you wanted to provide a space to teach that. So it's not like you did. I think it's nice knowing that like there was like a push, like community wanted you to offer this thing, and you couldn't find a space. It's like okay, I'm gonna get a space to do this stuff. So that's so amazing. So maybe tell a little bit about Looma Birth in terms of like what is offered there. Is it like weekly classes? Do you do workshop? Do you have other people rent the space as well? Like what is Looma Birth all about?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So that's like, I mean, right. So it all naturally evolved from one to the other. So we are a physical space. It's about 600 square feet. As I said, it's kind of divvied up. The majority of the space is just big open space. We
Mhm.
have mirrors on one wall, which is super
Mhm.
fun that we can use, but we also hang curtains so we don't always have to be self conscious.
Mm. Mhm.
And then we've got like a couch living room situation in the back. We can very comfortably fit eight
Mhm.
yoga mats with space and props and everything around that. We get 10 in here regularly, but it starts to get a little bit of that like, hey,
Mhm.
we're going to be
Mhm.
getting into our neighbor's space. You know how that goes.
Mhm.
Yogi yourself. So we have 5 movement classes that
Mhm.
are prenatal or baby and me yoga classes. That's offered on a weekly schedule. People can do drop-ins or we do class passes. You can do like 5 classes,
Mhm.
and get a little bit of a discount for that. We have people who use it as an hourly for doing other workshops. So we have practitioners come in and do sound baths or,
Mhm.
we have some like an acupuncturist who does like a tea and acupuncture, group acupuncture ceremony.
Mhm.
We do a lot of new parent education classes in here in the space. So we do a childbirth education series. I developed my
Mhm.
own curriculum because I really couldn't
Mhm.
find a program out there that did it. So it's called Empowered Hospital Birth.
Mm.
98% of American women are giving birth in the hospital. Roughly 75% of American women get an epidural. And
Mhm.
I wanted to support my families that I was working with as a
Mhm.
doula. So I, took all of my years of experience and things and kind of created this course, which has been a different journey.
Mhm.
So we do that. We do mama circles where, right, mama's going to come in and you just show up as you are and we just share, we process in group settings.
Mhm.
We get to do some of those partner fun workshops, like I said, doing some
Mhm.
like prenatal and partner workshops is really
Mhm.
special to get
Yeah.
partners involved in a pregnancy and get involved in the movement and get couples to
Yeah.
kind of reconnect during pregnancy or postpartum. So the space is used for a lot of different things. I really think
Yeah.
of it as a community hub where
Yeah.
anybody who is kind of serving that like-minded population can come in and
Mhm.
use the
Mhm.
space. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's really fun.
But it seems like you're busy teaching most of those like weekly 5 classes and a lot of those courses for parents or mom to be like it's most of them is you teaching it. So it's pretty you're pretty busy with that.
Actually, it's not me.
Oh yeah? You have teachers that teach.
I have teachers who teach, yep.
Okay.
So there are other teachers. I only teach one movement class here regularly.
Mhm.
I teach a Monday
Mhm.
class. Otherwise, the other classes are other teachers.
I mean, I was gonna say like it make you're too busy if you're doing all of it yourself, you know. And I guess like business wise, has it been sustainable from
Mhm.
get go? Like, did you have hard time making enough money to pay the rent, or you're barely making it even each month? Like, has it been a profitable
It is
business,
a
or has it taken
it is
time?
profitable. Like, I'm
Yeah.
definitely in the black, and I'm very, very
Uh-huh.
grateful for that. I think it was a really big leap in the community as much as
Mhm.
in myself for the business.
Mhm.
But yes, I like, when we first opened, yes, I was doing all the teaching. I was doing all the classes. So
Mhm.
that kept costs down, and there were months that
Mhm.
maybe I mean, I there were a few months where it was tight, right? And, like, making
Mhm.
rent and paying the bills for the studio space, but it's grown slowly. Like, I think I had
Mhm.
learned a lot doing kind of that, like, guerrilla marketing and,
Mhm.
park yoga that I had done for so long. So, I've been lucky.
Mhm.
I've been smart as a business owner,
Mhm.
not overextending myself, and so, yes, at this point, I am really trying to actually dial back my in-person things to
Yeah.
allow other teachers who are very similarly passionate be able to step up
Mhm.
and have a space to teach. See
Mhm.
them create their own, like, give them space to teach. I
Mhm.
have a yoga teacher who teaches, we call it postpartum bliss. So it is a
Mm.
class literally focused on getting back into your body after having a baby. It's not like a baby and me necessarily focused class where, like, it's maybe more interactive with a baby. It's really about the mama. It's really, and like, this is that
Mhm.
teacher's passion is really, so like,
Mhm.
I got to give her space to use that. And yes, it gets to,
Yeah.
like, I get, it's a win-win, right? Like, this teacher is
Yes.
super passionate about that. She can have a space to safely grow her business, but it also,
Mhm.
right, comes back and serves my community as well.
Mhm.
So again, like, I want it to be that community space, and I've been very lucky
Mhm.
in being able to allow other people to utilize it for that reason.
Mhm.
And so I am trying to take a step back a little bit. Again, like I said at some point in this class, like, or in this chat, my family dynamics have changed, right? I have
Mhm.
3 kids now. They are all of, like, elementary plus age. So we are, I'm a deep soccer mom. Like, I got soccer practice 4 days a week and most weekends.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I can't be here doing nights and weekends anymore.
Mhm.
I've got to make myself available to my family because all of
Mhm.
this has been about restructuring my life and my identity around being a mom, around being a parent, right?
Mhm.
And so, like, when I quit that corporate job and I started that entrepreneurial journey, it was always about creating a balanced life.
Mhm.
And so I am in a flux moment. We actually just
Mhm.
recorded and created my very first online class. That
Wow.
is an evergreen class, so I took that childbirth class that I mentioned, Empowered
Yeah.
Hospital Birth, and I created an online class to try to start, pivoting, and then as an entrepreneur, that's kind of right, things hold for a while and they shift, and they hold for a while
Mhm.
and they shift. So, yeah, personally, we're shifting again for
I love your drive to like, I'm gonna start my own thing. And it seems like you had that drive from the very beginning. Like you were already starting like park yoga, you were partnering with the businesses around here in Long Beach even before the pandemic. And even before all of that, in the very beginning of this conversation, you said you always wanted to own your own business. So I think that is a point of like even listener who might not be like prenatal or postnatal yoga teacher, but as a yoga teacher as a whole, or any business owner, I guess, there's a divide that happens, I think. Like some people are, yes, like I'm going to start my own thing. Like I'm going to like I want to
Mhm.
work for myself and do my own thing and build my own thing. And then there's a teacher who's very comfortable working for somebody else and they just work at the studios or gyms or they are employed by other companies and businesses and they're comfortable that way. There's no right or wrong way, but I'm just curious like what was that drive that you have that knew you wanted not just work for somebody else, but you kind of it seems like you had that from the beginning of really
I mean,
wanting
it
to
was
do your own
always,
thing.
yeah, yeah, and I didn't know. I mean, I like, right when I was first introduced to yoga, like, I didn't know that was gonna become a foundation for my business. I
Mhm.
think I grew up in a family where I mean, my uncle ran his own company, so,
Mhm.
there was already some entrepreneurship in, like, the
Mm.
adults in my life in my childhood, seeing them
Yeah.
work for themselves, and, ultimately, that that didn't end great for my
Mhm.
uncle, but So like that there was some role models there.
Mhm.
But I think that was always like, without getting too deep into it and trying to
Mhm.
answer that question specifically, I think
Mhm.
for me, I always wanted to live life by my own terms.
Mhm.
I never wanted to be stuck inside. That was a big
Mhm.
one. I never wanted a corporate job. I did it for a couple of years because it was good money and it was easy. I was good at it.
Mhm.
But I wanted the freedom that came with working for myself.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
wanted the freedom that came with it, right?
Mhm.
I like to travel. I could travel when I wanted to. I wasn't limited to vacation days.
Mhm.
So it really just spoke to me, and it was something.
Mhm.
And there's like, right, like as you said, there's no right or wrong way. Like for a
Mhm.
good chunk in the middle there, I was simply an employee, right? Going from
Mhm.
studio to studio to studio, teaching different modalities on their schedule. And I like
Mhm.
that worked for a time frame for me, but I wanted
Mhm.
more.
Mhm.
And so I built more.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I love that. And I feel the same way. That's why I have more than just group classes. I have my own online studio, a mentorship or
Yeah, you do
podcast that I
amazing.
do. And it's like there's a push and pull there for me sometimes and trying to find the right amount of each of these different income streams that I have. So it's definitely, yeah, it's not an easy it's actually easier to continue working for somebody else because you don't have to worry about, like, paying the rent or marketing yourself, promoting yourself, finding new students. It's not yeah, it's not easy path, but I always admire you people who start their own business or teachers who do their own thing because we kinda, like, have to step away from, like, our comfort zone and our safety blanket of working for somebody else or another business. So, I really admire for you for all that you do, and you do it with passion. There's a drive behind it, like, you really want to serve that community, and we can totally hear the passion behind why you are really want to serve that community, and I love
Yeah,
hearing that and seeing that.
yeah,
I have a
that's true.
couple more questions. I know you said, like, this community that you serve, there's, like, phases, right? Like, you're pregnant for 9 months, and now you have a baby, and you're postpartum for whatever month. I don't know how many months it is considered postpartum. Then, like, your kids get older, and so it seems like this population you work with is kind of fluid. Like, people are coming into
Mhm.
this world and also, like, leaving at a certain time. So how are you able to continue to keep finding students to, keep joining your funnel?
Yeah, it's hard, it's hard. I mean, it's one of
Mhm.
the hardest parts of the business at whole. Unlike a traditional or more traditional yoga studio, right? Like, you get
Mhm.
somebody and then you build that loyalty and then they're with you, right?
Mhm.
That's how I got to know Raw. I literally took classes at their original location in Costa Mesa way back when they opened in 2011. Like, I was brand new, I
Mhm.
had just moved here, like, "New studio? Great, I'm new too, let's take some yoga together."
Mhm.
And here I am, however, decade plus, almost, I'm bad at math, like, what, 15 years
Mhm.
later, right? Like, here we are. So, you build that brand loyalty.
Mhm.
It's harder because you have such a targeted window. So
Mhm.
you're just constantly doing it. I have a really good friend who's a personal trainer and like, right, like
Mhm.
she's like, she has 10 clients and she's had more or less, a steady six of those clients for years. And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that'd be so much easier, right? To like get somebody to love your style and then for them
Mhm.
to be able to grow with you for years.
Mhm.
It's hard, but it's
Mhm.
constantly getting out there. It's keeping the community alive. I mean,
Mhm.
while it's not necessarily the same person, like you get to see the same thing over. So one of I think where I've been, like I do say I'm very lucky and I do think that. I think one of the strongest relationship is the
Mhm.
most important part of my business. So building that
Yeah.
community, and yes, it's the community of mamas that are coming and going in my business, but it's the community of the other practitioners that hold
Mm.
me professionally. So it's you who refer, right? You have a yoga
Mhm.
student who shows up in your class pregnant. You refer
Mhm.
her over to me. I have a
Mhm.
pelvic floor PT who refers to me. I have relationships with midwives and OBs and other people who work in the pregnant population who refer over to me. And so
Mhm.
while I work in a very specific demographic, there are lots of other practitioners that, you know, enter into that funnel as well that
Yeah.
help hold me and hold my business. So for
Mhm.
me, all of this has come from a space where I was a mom who needed a service and then I became that service provider. And so
Mhm.
everything is about that community that supports moms, and that helps me tremendously in keeping mamas coming in the door. And
Mhm.
I'm lucky enough I have a positive reputation. So like, oh, my neighbor's pregnant, like you got to go check out Luma, or you got to go get to know
Mhm.
Elizabeth, or right. So like,
Yeah.
there's very much like I am
Mhm.
here in Long Beach. I've been doing it for a while, and so people
Mhm.
know, and that word of mouth is so important. And I think especially in the
Mhm.
digital age, people
Mhm.
forget about that.
Yeah. You bring such a great point of not only your students' word of mouth, but this like referral network that you have created with
Yes.
with
Yes,
other yoga teachers, with maybe acupuncturists, massage therapists, with a pelvic floor PT, like those other professionals who also work with a similar demographic, but all offer their own different unique offerings. So it's not a competition. You continue to like recommend each other to your community that you have. So I think that's
exactly.
such a great point.
And I think that's so important, right? Of working with other, right? Like as I mentioned, like I have friends who are personal trainers, right? So like
Mm-hmm.
even within the fitness world,
Mm-hmm.
having those relationships. And that is definitely advice I give to any other like new aspiring yoga teachers
Mm-hmm.
or any business professionals, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
building those reciprocal relationships
Mm-hmm.
are hugely helpful for your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Still working and teaching prenatal yoga class at the studio, has it ever become, what's the word? Conflict of interest, I guess? Like, because you might be bringing some of your students you meet at a studio to your offerings at Looma Birth, or do you think it's been like a collaborative, both beneficial kind of
I think it's
relationship? Has that ever been
collaborative,
a
and it
challenge?
it has not been
Mm-hmm.
a pain point at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very like I'm not working at 15 different
Mm-hmm.
places trying to
Mm-hmm.
funnel, all of their audience into my audience. And at the end of the day, like, we have this one touch point that is the
Mm-hmm.
same and then no other similar touch points, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, like,
Yeah.
I am not teaching vinyasa yoga at my physical location. I am not
Mm-hmm.
offering yoga lattes or hot raw, or right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
there's just prenatal yoga, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
offering all of these other things that raw does not, right? Or a yoga studio
Yeah.
would not offer. So, like,
Mhm.
yes, we share this one point, but
Mhm.
otherwise, it's like a Venn diagram, right? Like, they
Yeah.
are their own thing and I am my own thing, and yes, it comes
Mhm.
together and matches. But, I mean, I love to compare it to, like, I
Mhm.
previously worked at a yoga studio where, like, they had a great relationship with a local cycle club or, like, cycle house,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so, like, going to a cycle like, right, like Grit Cycle or, like, one of those, like,
Mhm.
cycle gyms, like, that's
Mhm.
not yoga. Like, maybe
Mhm.
they do some, like, yoga stretching before or after getting on the bike, but, like, it is a fitness class, but it's not the same. So, like, you could have
Yeah.
somebody who wants to go to both. So you can cross promote again
Yeah.
in that space. So I think it's
That's so
really
true.
about like that nuance line and how much of that Venn diagram do you and that other business share
Mhm.
to worry about that conflict, right? If you're
Yeah,
sharing
yeah.
the majority, right? If those circles are massively overlapping, then there's going to be a conflict of interest. But when it really
Mhm.
is just one touch point or
Mhm.
2 touch points, then it's, reciprocal and it works well.
Yeah, totally. Beautifully explained. Last question for
Oh,
you.
thanks.
For yoga teachers who's listening, many are full-time, maybe are part-time, or maybe wanting to be full-time. And this is more advice for yoga teachers who is kind of like interested in or ready to step out of the comfort zone of working for somebody else and maybe want to start more of their own thing, whether if that becomes full time or not, but like they really want to start their own business or become more entrepreneurial. Can you give any kind of advice for yoga teachers like that who wants a little bit more than just working for studios or gyms?
I think it's just what we were talking about there is, like, really get out and network yourself. It sounds
Mhm.
like you don't have to have business cards in this day and age. And Zoom calls are great, but put yourself out there, go contact, right? Like go set yourself a goal, right? I want to contact
Mhm.
one business a week. I want to contact 5 businesses. I want to contact 10 businesses. But just let them know. The more
Mhm.
people who know what you're doing or trying to do, the more, right? Like
Mhm.
think about that ripple effect in a pond, right? You throw the rock
Mhm.
in and right, that ripple is going to go all the way out to the edges. So letting people
Yeah.
know, like, right, stepping into that space of being vulnerable. Like, you don't have to be an expert
Mhm.
right away. You don't have to know everything right away, but just believing in yourself and knowing what you do already know, owning, right? You can stay in that lane, but just let people know
Mhm.
that you're doing what you're doing. Uh,
Yeah.
the people are so right, like we're inherently good people and getting out there to network, right? Because again, the more people who know what you're doing and what you're offering, they're going to share it with their friends and you're going to start to see that ripple effect. I
Mhm.
really like everything that I have built has come back to that.
Mhm.
And so that is my best advice. Let's get out there, let people know what you're doing.
Thank you. Yes.
Can I
I
add one thing to that actually too?
great advice. Yes, please. Please add.
I think the other thing too, and like I certainly am guilty of this as a business owner, is with social media, it is such a huge part
Mhm.
of growing a business, especially now in 2026. It has been for over a decade. Don't think you have to do it
Mhm.
perfectly. Don't think that you have to be, right,
Mhm.
posting whatever people are telling you. Just think of your social media as being a like your business sign saying, "Hi, I'm open for business." So even if you're
Mhm.
only posting once a month being like, "Hey, I'm still here doing my
Mhm.
thing," put the post up. Don't worry about the
Mhm.
30 days that it's been since your last post, right? You don't have to
Mhm.
build a giant online following. You don't have to this, you don't have to that, especially if you're looking at being some kind of like local or even right, like whatever you're trying to do as a yoga teacher, right?
Yeah.
You just it's a high, I'm open for business. Don't worry
Yes.
about becoming viral. Don't worry about being perfect. Don't worry about following the trends. They're exhausting. They will change. It doesn't work for the 99% of us, right? Just show
Yeah.
up. Just put your, like, just allow people to know that you're open for business, right? Think of your
Mhm.
social media as like you were walking into your business and you were turning the lights on. I
Mhm.
think that's a huge one. I think I see so many yoga teachers, new entrepreneurs, new doulas out there who get so caught up in having to be perfect or post all the time or
Yeah.
this or that, that they're not getting out there. I was getting people to show up at my park yoga when I had 200 followers and I thought they were all
Mhm.
friends and family. So, like,
Yeah.
numbers don't matter. I was just putting it
Mhm.
out there and it worked. So, again, like, think of it as your online, like, my business is open and that's
Mhm.
great. If you're a social media wizard and like that's your cup of tea and you have tons of fun with that, go for it, run with it, everything else. But that
Yeah.
is my other bit of advice I would say for any new teacher out there trying to grow into the entrepreneur side,
Yeah.
into full-time yoga teaching. Um,
Mhm.
get yourself out there. Have some fun.
Yes, I love that. The advice you gave is such a great example of like some people, yes, some people are really good at social media. They love doing it and they love doing spending time on it. Go for it. Like that's also like a
Yeah.
beautiful place to focus on. But like you said, you don't also have to. There's other ways to do it. And I think you are probably a great example of somebody who have built a pretty successful business, career, reputation based on relationships with people, like really relationship, one on one, getting to know people, getting to know other professional practitioners, your students, and referrals. And that is also another beautiful way to, be a business owner. So it doesn't have to
Thank
be viral on social media or have a huge
Yeah.
following. It can still be, you can still have your successful business without it. But I do agree what you said of like just have it in have post enough so people know that your business is still up and running. It doesn't have to be perfect. I love that. Thank you, Elizabeth, so
Oh,
much for this conversation. I had such a fun time talking to you, and I feel like I got to know you more, and your passion really shined through, and I can really feel the passion you have to serve this community. So please share with the listeners how they can find you, how they can reach out to you, or if there's anything upcoming that you want to share with them.
yeah, amazing. Thank you. I have
Hmm.
loved being here and I'm so honored. And I hope that somebody out there finds it inspiring to jump 2 feet in and go for it, because it really, you won't regret it. But to find me, I am on all the social media platforms at Looma Birth, LOOABIRTH. I am mostly on Instagram if you really want to get to know me, but there's TikTok, there's YouTube, Facebook, of course, loomabirth.com for the internet side of things, where you can learn more about, if you anybody's local, but also we have a growing online presence. We've got that online recorded class. We have a very
Nice.
active Facebook group for mamas. And yeah, basically my website holds
Okay, I'll make sure to link your website on the show notes so people can find you. Thank you
appreciate it.
so much for your time. I had really fun time chatting with you, and I'm excited to share this with the listeners.
Thank you. I really am happy to be here. And I will just throw out there as a last little bit that if there are any listeners
Yeah,
listening in and they're interested in prenatal and postpartum yoga and have questions about the specific trainings on that, or adding that modality to their teacher trainings or teacher, what am I trying to say? If anybody has
like a
questions, there's not a ton of like
mm-hmm.
prenatal yoga teacher training modules out there. I'm
Mm,
always happy to help a fellow yoga teacher figure out how to add prenatal yoga to their teaching repertoire. So, if anybody
mm,
has questions, they please feel free to reach out to me too,
yes,
because it
yes.
is a wonderful avenue to grow
Mm.
your business as a yoga teacher.
Yes, so true. Yeah, I feel like every 300 hour should have some kind of module on that, or even 200. There should be like at least one afternoon, one day that they talk about that. So there's plenty of studios that are needing those kind of workshop to teach their teachers how to, what to
Yeah,
do if the pregnant person come into your class. So definitely, uh,
yeah,
we have great
yeah.
resources. Elizabeth
Yes,
yeah.
yes, I would be happy to share resources. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's podcast and the conversation I had with Elizabeth. I hope you really enjoyed her stories, and I hope you can tell and hear her passion when she's sharing about her journey. And she is also such a business savvy woman, and I feel like I can learn so much from her, and it really made me want to hang out with her more, maybe have a coffee and chat with her more often, because she's doing such a great things in the community here in Long Beach. And yeah, I always refer people, students, to her Looma Birth location. Anytime I have a pregnant student in my class or a friend who is pregnant, I usually recommend them to Elizabeth's business, Looma Birth, because she offers so much for that community, and that community really deserves love and support, an amazing teacher, and a community leader like Elizabeth. So thank you, Elizabeth, so much for all that you do for this community here in Long Beach. And thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. So just quickly before we wrap up, I have my retreat in Nicaragua coming up in July. I hope you can join. I have $200 off if you sign up with a friend. So link is on the show notes to go check out my retreat info, as well as Intro to Meditation workshop that's coming up in person or live stream on Zoom, or watch the recording later. That is March 15th, Sunday from 2 to 4 p.m. California time with Casey. Other than that, I hope you have a great day as you're listening to this podcast. If you could, please click on 5 stars if you're listening to this podcast from Spotify. If you're listening from Apple or any other platform, give it a thumbs up or subscribe or download, or I don't know, whatever metrics you are able to do from whatever podcast platform you're listening from. Anything will be super helpful. But most importantly, what's going to be most helpful for me is if you can share this podcast, share this episode with a friend, with your yoga teacher, with your yoga teacher friends. That would mean so much to me. As always, I love hearing from you listeners, so don't be shy and chat with me if you see me in person here in Long Beach, or message me on my Instagram. My Instagram account is at Reika Yoga, ReikaYoga. Or if you're not a social media person, you can message me through my website, www.reikayoga.com, and all the links to find me, to find Elizabeth, find out about my retreat or upcoming meditation workshop with Casey. All of those information is one click away on show notes. So I hope you go check that out. Otherwise, have a great day, and I will talk to you in 2 weeks.